Hey everyone, quick lecture to review the nervous system and endocrine system. Again, this will not replace any lectures from class. This is going to be a quick overview to just refresh your memory over some of the terms that we've discussed already. So our nervous system can be broken down into kind of this flow chart of how different parts of our nervous system are related to one another. To begin, in psychology, we talk about three main types of neurons. We have afferent neurons, efferent neurons, and interneurons. Our afferent neurons are going to be the neurons that are sending messages to our brain. And so we sometimes call these sensory neurons. If you step on something sharp, if you pick up a snowball, if you see a bright light outside, all of those messages will be sent to your brain through afferent neurons or sensory neurons. Efferent neurons, on the other hand, those are neurons that are going to be sending messages from your brain. And so when you walk around the floor, when you pick up a pen, those messages are being sent from your brain through efferent neurons, or what we sometimes call motor neurons. And our mnemonic, to help you remember, we always spell out SAME, SAME, and think sensory is the same as afferent, motor is the same as efferent. And then we have interneurons, and interneurons kind of bridge the gap between these two other types of neurons. And we find interneurons in our brain and in our spinal cord. And so if you look at our chart here, our peripheral nervous system and our central nervous system are the two main branches of our nervous system, the system in our body made up of neurons. The central nervous system, pretty straightforward. The central nervous system are the interneurons. They make up our brain and our spinal cord. And our next lecture will talk more specifically about the brain, the different parts of the brain. So we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about the other branch of our nervous system in this lecture, and that is the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system is essentially what's connecting our brain to the outside world. And so if you look at those two charts, the central nervous system is kind of that lime greenish color, and you can see that here. The central nervous system is in the center, whereas our peripheral nervous system, this is kind of that salmon colored system here with the neurons, and that is going to be our efferent and afferent neurons, that which is connecting everything to our brain and spinal cord, and then what is being sent out from our brain and spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system itself can be broken down into two main types. We have our autonomic nervous system and our somatic nervous system. We'll start with somatic. The somatic nervous system, think these are going to be voluntary movements. Your ability to walk across the floor, your ability to pick up a pen. That's your somatic nervous system. Those are the neurons that are connected to different tendons and muscles along your body. Whereas the autonomic nervous system, autonomic sounds a lot like automatic, and autonomic nervous system is going to be part of our nervous system that helps with involuntary things. Your autonomic nervous system is connected to different glands and organs in your body. And so your autonomic nervous system helps with things like your heart rate. If you look specifically at autonomic nervous system, that can be broken down into two main types as well. That which speeds up our body and that which slows down our body. And so the sympathetic nervous system, that is the arousing aspect of our nervous system. Think fight or flight mode. Increased heart rate, dilated pupils, slowing of our digestion, opening our airways. This is all part of our sympathetic nervous system, preparing you to fight a threat or to run away. Whereas the parasympathetic nervous system helps calm the body back down, helps relax the body. You can think of it almost like a game of tug of war between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. And I sometimes give that analogy of skydiving, right? If you're skydiving with an S, think sympathetic, and everything's speeding up. Your pupils are dilated, your heartbeat is beating really fast until you pull the parachute. And the parachute or parasympathetic nervous system is what slows everything back down. And then finally, your endocrine system, kind of our hint here is be familiar with how the nervous system and the endocrine system are similar and different. They're similar in lots of ways. Both the nervous system and the endocrine system are sending messages throughout the body. They're both doing that using chemicals. Some big differences, though, is, for example, the types of chemicals. In the nervous system, we call those chemicals neurotransmitters, whereas with the endocrine system, we call those chemicals hormones. Where we find those chemicals changes as well. The nervous system, those chemicals are found in the synapse between two neurons, whereas in the endocrine system, those chemicals are found in our bloodstream. And the result of that is how quickly and how widespread these messages are. Neurotransmission is incredibly quick. Happens 100 miles an hour. We can turn on and turn off messages almost instantly with the nervous system. Whereas because hormones are being secreted into the bloodstream for the endocrine system messages are much slower, relatively speaking, and they're also widespread throughout the entire body. Whereas your nervous system can have very specific movements, like moving your pinky, your endocrine system is widespread. It's a lot slower, and it lingers. And so, we will give examples, things like if you avoid a car accident, 30 minutes later, you may still be kind of worked up. And although you consciously are aware that the threat is over, that's your nervous system, you still have adrenaline in your bloodstream. And so you still have that physical response even after the threat is gone. Your hypothalamus is going to be the bridge between the nervous system and the endocrine system. The hypothalamus is part of your brain, and so it's technically part of the nervous system, but the hypothalamus is going to be the part of the brain that helps regulate and control your nervous system. Specifically, it helps control your pituitary gland, and we call your pituitary gland the master gland. The pituitary gland helps with the secretion of all hormones throughout the body and helps regulate those hormones. You can see our chart here. You can see different glands in your endocrine system. Two others that are worth noting: be familiar with your pancreas. We talk a little bit more about the pancreas when we talk about motivation, specifically with hunger motivation, as the pancreas helps regulate the level of sugar in the blood, as you can see there. And then also your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands sit on top of your kidneys and release adrenaline into your bloodstream. Your adrenal glands are and adrenaline, for that matter, are very similar to norepinephrine and epinephrine for your nervous system, preparing you for fight or flight, getting you ready for action. So, quick overview. Hopefully that helps differentiate the nervous system and endocrine system, and good luck.